Greetings everyone, my name is Stefan and welcome back to the ultimate guide to Stellaris. In this video we'll be showcasing expansion and how to do that properly. So as you can see here, we have an example empire, the Commonwealth of Man, and in this spot we have quite a few options over here. We have not spawned in any corner or anything where there's only one option to expand. Instead, we have three main directions and three choke points that we have to cover if we were to expand. Now, choke points are going to be the primary limiter on your expansion. You want to be able to defend your territory from any sort of attack, and having choke points, aka single systems through which the enemy has to go through, is very good. The thing with choke points is that you can station your forces there and potentially build up star bases. That way, if we were to defend this single point, we would have to defend only one route and only one station would have to be maintained. However, if we were to expand over here, we would have to defend both this point and this point. That would cost twice as much, and even if you do get 10 energy per system, for example, it will still not be worth it because you're spending quite a bit of alloys on fleets and stations. Overall, even if the space is good, you will want to stay behind in some choke point. And that choke point doesn't have to be far back. It can be as forward as possible, taking as much territory as possible. However, at the very beginning of the game, where there's many routes to expand to, you'll want to claim as many choke points as possible. So for instance, in the case of this empire, we want to claim this system, and this system first and foremost. That is so that if an enemy comes our way, they will have to absolutely go through a choke point. Choke points are the primary goal of expansion. However, there is one more almost equally as good of a goal. That goal is planets. You see, planets are the most valuable asset in this game. The more planets you have, the better of a chance you have to defeat anyone else, because planets mean economy. The more economy you have, the more alloys you have, the bigger fleet you have. And of course, with a big fleet, you can dominate anyone else. So let's go ahead and play this empire for a few minutes as an example. What we would want to do is we would want to send our science ship over to the choke points first and foremost, survey them, and then send a construction ship to go after it. Normally, you also want to go ahead and build an extra science ship so that all of this can be done much faster. You can also sell off some of your starting resources, especially consumer goods, to be able to hire another new scientist, because you do need a scientist to be able to man a science ship. So for now, let's go ahead, get this game on fastest, and see where this guy takes us. Alright, now we are in a situation where we have an option. So we have a single choke point with a planet, and a choke point without a planet. Now, of course, you will want to secure all choke points eventually. However, the choke point with a planet is going to be significantly more valuable because the earlier you can get a planet, the more time you have to build it up and to have a better economy. Therefore, we will go for this system first and foremost. Alright, we actually surveyed both of these systems at once. And as we can see here, one system has physics and one system has energy and moats. Now let's just ignore the fact that this system has a planet for now, because of course we are going to want to go for the system for the planet. However, between resources and science, early on you will probably want to go for the resources. However, if there's enough science in a system, you might want to go for that instead. If there's twice as much science as there are raw resources in a system, you will want to go for the science system first. Strategic resources, such as the volatile modes that we've discovered in the system, are not something that is going to really be a factor in the early game. They are going to be nice for later on, however, there's no way we can exploit them in the first few decades of the game. So they should be factored out completely, unless there's like 5 gas in a system, in which case, yeah, go for that gas, because your mid-game is going to be that much easier. But anyways, in our situation, we will want to send a construction ship over here, and we will also want to go ahead and build a colony ship. Now, for the sake of the colony ship, do go ahead and use the market. The market will help you get the colony ship earlier on, and the earlier you can get your colony going, the better. Now, of course, if you wanted to be more efficient about this, you can go ahead and build the colony ship first, and then build the system. The colony ship will take longer to build than a system will, and the resources used in a system may potentially be useful in a colony ship instead. But don't worry about that if you're just starting on. One thing that you do want to look out for in the early game though are the guaranteed planets. By default, there are 2 guaranteed habitable worlds of your type that spawn within a few systems of your home world. You will want to go ahead and find them because they have a very high habitability and very few penalties for colonizing them. Therefore, after you get your choke points covered, you will want to go ahead and send your science ships around just to look for those planets. In fact, at this point in the game, it may be actually efficient to go ahead and explore systems instead of fully surveying them, because that takes less time and you can locate planets much easier that way. Remember, the priority for expansion goes choke points, then planets, then space resources. Of course, if there's a sector with a bunch of planets, which will give you extra choke points, you do want to go ahead and settle that segment. However, having good choke points is extremely important for defensive purposes. Alrighty, looks like we have 2 systems discovered, and it does look like these 2 systems are the ones with our guaranteed habitable worlds. Perfect. You can go ahead, order the science ships to survey their systems, and afterwards we can go ahead, build some colony ships, colonize the systems, and be on our way. Optimally, you want to have at least 4 planets total in the early game, but if you can get more, it's going to be great. If you cannot get more, do venture out and try to find more planets. Otherwise, you can just stick here, and 3 choke points is not too bad. If we were to expand all the way over here, we would have to deal with way more choke points and spend way more resources on defense. And remember, you want to be on the defense in the early game. You do not want to be offensive unless you're playing a specifically offensive build. That is the way you're going to be able to survive even against Grand Admiral AI. Anyways, that about does it for the early game expansion, and in the next video we'll talk about colonization and how you can make best use of your newly found worlds. See you then.